Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Fixing Up the Commonwealth, and we have a very special edition today. We're going to build you a secret little hideaway. Now it doesn't look like much at the moment, but based on the bootlegger shack that we did the last time, I've created this little kind of hideaway here. You can see we've got a little kind of deserted shack here, but yeah, the real magic is actually under my feet, and we're going to walk you through, as we did in the bootlegger shack, the mods you're going to need, and I'm going to pretty much give you a little bit of a master class in creating this kind of look for your settlement and hiding something underground that isn't, and creating an environment for you to do that. So I hope you're going to enjoy this one, guys. Let's get in to the mods we're going to need. So for this playthrough you are going to need our good reliable Dead Wastelands Blue Del Mar. This is a great mod. I know I've talked about it a lot, but you can see a few of the guys that have contributed to this to help the developer, Tim Man, G2MX Agent, and a few others. So it is a great mod, and you will need the Dead Wasteland component of this to help you build. Grounded mod, once again, you will need quite extensively. This is ported by Cordless, and it's a great little mod by Serena from PS4. Is this one is the settlement supply expanded by Etheron, and it's part of the master plan series. Now it's a bit strange, this one, because the reason I want to use this is basically for the rocks and stuff like that. So you don't necessarily have to use this particular mod, but find one that has a dry rock gouge or some kind of rock in it. I know Grounded has a few, I know that Dead Wasteland has a few. So those are the three main mods I'll be using in this playthrough. And so it's time to get crack-a-lacking and get this build done. Now I'm actually not too far from Sanctuary here. I'm kind of north of Sanctuary in this area. Now initially I looked at this spot here. I'll actually move this, actually go over the hill, so we'll cut to that in a second. Now there's a lot of footage to get through today, so I obviously you can see in the background I've got a cheat terminal. I've got all my crafting materials coming in, and we'll cut to where my final destination is, which is basically just over the hill here. So what I intend to do with the build today is I'm going to show you the basics of doing this. I'm going to show you the important kind of steps that I think you'll need to do to create something similar in your game. So I'm going to build in there, and you'll see this changes quite significantly. Now, as I've said before, with Workshop Anywhere, you can't, if you're building outside the settlement, you can't move any of the assets, and so all the assets that are around are locked in, so you can't move them anywhere, so you have to work around them. So we're going to use these. Now I'm going to quickly show you my influence for this build, and then we'll come back. So the influence for this build comes out of Fallout 76, and kind of the starting point. My good mate Mikey actually found this place somewhere in the mire, if I remember from memory, and yeah, so that's going to be the starting point for us, and I hope you're going to love what we end up building with this. So back into Fallout 4 land, and yeah, the first thing that I'm just trying to get my head around here is roughly where I want to position the these box cars. So you can see I used the one with the legs on, and then I realised that's not going to work for me. So I'm going to find one of the blue ones, one of the orange ones. Now I'm roughly positioning this. Once I get this into place, what I'd suggest you do is not what I'm going to show you I do, but what I suggest you do is then fill in the area you're going to put these box cars in with the grinding mod, and we'll get to that in a second. So basically I'm just positioning these, and we'll skip ahead now. Like I said, there's this build is going to take you a good couple of hours to complete. So yeah, there's a bit to do, but a lot of it is very, very repetitive. So I'm going to try and give you the edited highlights. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it in one go or a couple of videos at this point, because there is probably about 2 or 3 hours of footage to get through. Now, if you very quickly observed the build that I'm basing this on, it has this kind of this flooring that between them, and they're actually pretty good to have, because everything will snap together. Although that means that everything will snap together. Now, there we go, like that. So it gives you a good solid base to start with. Now, I have got them offset there, you can see, and that's not something that happens in the game, but it's actually, I'll leave them offset like that. I actually think it's nicer than what the original happened in the original game. So we're just going to pop a ladder down here, and you know, basically I have to move that ladder. I'm not going to get anywhere near those with that ladder there. Anyway, hop up, that's it. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm just getting the main structural elements in to give me a feel for how this is all going to work. Now, as you would know if you have built in Fallout for a while or whatever, when you're building something like this and you're not sure how it's going to work, it takes forever. If I was to build this again, I could build it probably in about half the time, because there's a lot of learnings that come along with doing this. So when I get this one positioned roughly where it should be, and then I'll snap that roof onto there like that. There we go, and it sits slightly above those carriages. Obviously I want to give it my own little twist, so I want a kind of little porch or overhang on the roof at each end, and if this ever snaps we'll get one. There we go, there's one at that end and one at that end. Now this whole area, now you're saying you're a bit confused at this point, because you're saying your introduction, I didn't see any of this. Haha, so that's where the mystery will come in, and you'll see how basically I'm able to kind of submerge this, if you like, and make an environment around about it. And that's the important thing that I wanted to share with you today. So we're going to the grinded mod. I'm going to skip forward till we find the correct kind of concrete kind of material that we need to fill in this area. So I've showed you this trick before where I find somewhere to put this down and just flick through them so I can see them, and I'm trying all the different areas. So very nicely this is organized into different parts of the Commonwealth for you. So we're in the kind of general Commonwealth. Ooh, and that's pretty much I think what I go with. There we go, like that. So we're going to start laying out these foundation blocks all around, and yeah, we'll come back once we've got that done. So we've kind of roughed it out. We've got a platform for these to sit on. One of my ideas when I first started building this particular structure was I was going to have another level to this underneath the carriages. I don't actually go in that direction in the end, so I end up filling this all in, but this is just where I roughly get to. So here what I'm doing is I'm looking at that edge and saying, well, how can I disguise that edge, or do I need to, and I think what I end up doing is actually end up putting more pieces in to bring that further out to blend into the environment. it actually doesn't matter in the end, and you'll see a little bit later on in the build that this actually really doesn't matter. This is just some stuff that I go through to try and get my head around how I'm going to approach this. So I've left it in so you can kind of see the thought process that goes into this. You see I'm flicking through all kinds of stuff. Now I'm still in the grounded mod. Now what I'd like to say as well is that at the start of the video I showed you a mod from the Master Plan series. Now as it turned out, as I went through the build, I actually found rocks within Dead Wasteland that you can use as well, and you'll see those a little bit later. Well, much later, to be honest. So here what I'm doing is I'm just going through all the options in grounded, and they're in the decor tab of grounded, and just seeing if anything's going to work here to disguise this edge here. And I think in the end I end up, like I said, don't end up using this and I go in a different direction, as you're about to see right now. So I think what I end up doing is doing this like that. At this point though, I must admit I'm not fully sure what direction I want to go in as far as getting this all to work. And that's the wrong one. So I'm trying a whole lot of things, and you might have to do this with your build until you get the kind of configuration of pieces right. So this is one way. These pieces from grounded are pretty soft, so you can see they actually blend in nicely to the environment like that, which is very, very useful. There is a little corner there, so I'm going to have to use place anywhere to put that in, but you can see that's a much better option than having that edge there, and you can just stick a rock on it and nobody knows that that's a problem. Now at this point I was going to have the dwelling above ground. You'll see in a little while this all completely changes. So what I've done here becomes something else a little bit later. So having put all that in, I had to reconfigure it completely, add new pieces in, do all kinds of stuff there. Actually put a base on where the boxcars are sitting. So we're coming up here, and we're going to try and connect this and start to blend it into the environment. Now how we're going to do that is we're going to use Dead Wasteland, and this is where the shack is sitting that you saw at the start of the episode. Dead Wasteland, go to the Dead Wasteland tab, and you just have so many options, and you have these things here, these cliffs. Now these cliffs, you can see this thing is absolutely massive, and so the biggest drama with these things is finding somewhere for them to actually physically sit. And you can see it goes green, and this is a trick I'm going to show you throughout this video. I'll probably repeat it a couple of times. Now what I'm doing here is, you can see we've got foundation blocks there that I need to hide, so I'm going to use these cliffs to do that. If I can ever get up in there, I'm getting stuck on absolutely everything, so I'm going to need a few of these like that. And this is an important technique for you to see, because it helps you start to blend this into the environment. So I'm going to take that, and we're going to switch off collision using place anywhere. You could of course use the pillar to do this quite easily, and then we're going to move that forward so that it hides that foundation block, and it all kind of works in seamlessly. So seamlessly is the big word for today, but you might have to tweak this, you might have to do a little bit of general work, and depending on where you place these, you might have to put a few to hide them. And again, I'll show you what I'm talking about a little bit later on, but these are actually quite soft, so you don't necessarily have to use place anywhere to get this to work, but you know me, I'm a little bit lazy, so yeah, you might have to fine tune that a little bit later, but you can see that that'll start to blend things into the environment, And again, very early stages of the build here. I'm learning my way in. I'm looking for all the pieces that potentially I can use here, and I'm trying to find. So to find a place for this, you might have to run around the kind of immediate environment. One of the tricks is to chuck it up into the air, and you'll often find a place up in the air. Once you've found a place where this will sit, keep coming back to it, because that's going to be, sometimes that's the only place it will sit. Some of these bigger pieces, you're not going to find a place for it to sit anywhere. So I'm going to leave all this in so you can see the struggle is real, but you can also see how I solve this. And you'll find that they'll go green there. See that? Just seen that the quick glimpse. They'll go green in the oddest of places. See that? So once you find that spot, take a note of it, and that's where you'll be laying these down. See, this is a large piece of real estate here. Now, where I place a lot of these does change over the space of time, because because I continually work to evolve this build a lot. But you can see that fills in a gap pretty nicely, pretty quickly. There we go, just like that. The only thing I'd say is just be careful from it. It can cause you other problems, but we'll work on these, like falling off the environment, not being able to get back up. Try not to run them too far in to your living space, because you'll have to tweak it. But yeah, these are fantastic for filling in big spaces real quick. So I want to get that as close to there without going through the box car. There we go, put it there, like that. So you're saying you're wasting a lot of that, but yeah, you'll see it later on. You use these and you build up layers of these particular assets, and you start to build up the environment. So similar thing on the other side, just building this up. Now, one of the issues you're going to have with these pieces is that they only have the texture on one side, so the other side is empty. So that will cause you some problems, but we will deal with that a little bit later, and you'll see how I work with this. So found all these rocks in Dead Wastelands. None of them were there we go. If you keep flicking along, you will find even more rocks, and those are the ones that I end up using a lot later in the build. And I think this is really, we're into 18 minutes now, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what I want to show you. So we're going to do this probably in a 2-episode build. So you can see there, that asset is empty on this side. So you're going to have to build some kind of wall there to hide the fact that that's empty. And so these rocks, this is a very therapeutic thing to do, but these rocks basically are like a kind of huge jigsaw. And one of the things that you're going to have to try and do is find rocks that match each other. And I don't think I get it perfect in this build, but and you can see that's clearly not matching anything. And I think I end up pulling these out and using the rocks from the master plan mod that I showed you earlier. But effectively, you just got to button all these together, push all these together, and start to build them up bit by bit, layer by layer, so that they all sit. See, what I'm doing here is I'm looking for that spot where I can put this down. And again, once you find it, oh, there it is there, see? Once you find it, take a note of it, because sometimes you'll never you only find one spot in the place you're building in the whole kind of area. And so you have to keep coming back and picking it up and putting it over there and all that kind of good stuff. So So we're going to layer these, and we will come back once we have been successful in doing that. Or successful. Welcome back. It's daytime is the right time, and you can see how this is starting to really build up nicely. We've got a bit of a rock wall happening, and it's all starting to sort of blend into the environment quite nicely. What do you think, Dogmeat? Are you impressed? I have no idea what I'm doing here, but anyway, there we go. You can have a good look there. So I started looking at this and thought, I should bury that. I should bury these so you can't see them. So the last little bit, we're going to start that process, and then we'll bring you back in video 2, and we'll continue on with that and do the kind of advanced burying techniques. So basically, back to grounded, put your floors down and start to build a little kind of area for that little abandoned shack to sit on. So one of the big things that you do need to take note of is the floors that you're using and where they sit, as far as which menu they're in and what number they are. So they're number 6 or 7 here, I think, some right there. So I've actually noted where it is. Now I do have a quick look to see if the leaves are going to work, and I just decided that yeah, they're not quite right. So we're going to go back with the original flooring that we've used above, below us, like that. And yeah, that doesn't want to snap in there, but we'll work on that in a while. Might have to persuade it to fit in there. What I'm also doing here is I'm trying to figure out how this space is going to be used, basically. Now, you seen it snap in there? We needed something for it to snap off of there. Beautiful. That works out well. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to figure out in my head what can be livable space beyond those 2 boxcars, and what I'll need to start to fill in within the environment, and how I'm going to all do this and how I'm going to disguise it, and lots of stuff that you've got to kind of figure out as you're building. So we're going to go back to these cliffs now. We know where the spot is for these cliffs to sit on, because what I initially thought to do is I'm going to build up the environment on this side only, and then leave the orange boxcar exposed, but I end up not doing that. I end up filling in both sides. So yeah, you can see we're looking there. Oh, we found it. I knew it was in this spot here somewhere. So we got to find where. And these are big assets. Now I wish the cliffs there were some stone cliffs that I could have used, and I could not find anywhere for that to go green. And you can see I've left this in because I wanted to see how difficult it can be sometimes to find the right spot for these to go down. Now I've cut down pretty much about an hour of footage down to over an hour of footage down to 24 minutes here. So when we come back, you seen that go green, didn't you? When we come back, we're going to start building the environment to hide these boxcars. Thanks for joining us on the channel. I hope you're enjoying these kind of series of kind of independent little builds. We will be getting back to a settlement build fairly shortly. I've recorded some of it already, and we will catch you next time on Gaming for XP. See ya!